Hi, I'm Ryan Laager, Superintendent of the Belle Plaine Public Schools. Today, on August 18th, we will release our first revision and our second draft of our fall reopening plan for the 2020-2021 school year. On August 6th, we released a video that gave some information and a broad overview based on the information we had received from the governor on July 30th about the 2020-2021 school year. Today we're going to release more specific information about what school is going to look like at the start of the year and how we're going to make decisions throughout the 2020-2021 school year in regards to which learning models we will be in. The first slide here we went over in the video on August 6th, really highlighting back to July 1st what steps we have taken and what information we were continuing to gather. We're here on the 18th today, which is when we said we would be releasing our second draft, and I'm going to go over some of the highlights that are in that draft. The document is now 26 pages long, but there's some key pieces there that I want to highlight for members of the community. The key pieces really are the COVID-19 Preparedness Plan. This is a significant portion of this document now. It talks about all the steps we've taken, all the cleaning procedures, all of those things that we have in place, as well as all of the PPE we will have available for students and the PPE we'll have available for staff. Some of the things they highlight there, we have 192 gallons of hand sanitizer. We'll have 2 spray bottles for every classroom. We will have masks available for students. We will have masks and shields available for staff, along with a variety of other things that we were able to secure both on our own and working with the state of Minnesota. The third thing that I'd like to highlight that I think is probably what everyone is wondering the most about is we will be following the state guidelines that dictate what learning model we will be running. Every Friday we get a report from the county and from the state. We actually have a meeting every Friday morning at 9:30 and we'll continue to throughout the school year where we go over what the previous 2-week case count looks like in Scott County. And based on the number that is derived from the equation that was put forward at the July 30th press conference from the governor, it will dictate which learning model we will be in. If we were to start school today, we would be in a hybrid model. I think a couple of things that I want to highlight that will be in the document and that will be in this PowerPoint here today are, in a hybrid model, we will bring our elementary students in 5 days a week. We are converting some of our elective positions at the elementary level or some of the specials that kids have, where we have licensed elementary teachers so we can spread kids out over more teachers and more classrooms. This will reduce the experiences they will be able to have in terms of a particular special or elective. We're hoping we can find ways to roll those into their traditional classroom settings. But what it allows us to do is get our class sizes small enough and utilize enough spaces in the building that we can follow the social distancing requirements that are required in a hybrid model. The second piece I want to highlight would be the hybrid for the secondary, where our students will be coming to school in Group A or Group B. If they're in school on Group A, then Group B will be doing synchronous learning at home. And when Group B is in school, Group A will be doing synchronous learning at home. And I'll show a sample schedule that we'll also be sharing with the community. So, in-person learning decisions, and I went through this on August 6th, and I shared some information that I had directly from the department. I think it's important again to highlight. On July 30th, it was not that districts were given local control to decide what they wanted to do. What it was is we were given the ability to make local decisions based on a case count for the 2 previous weeks in the county that your district resides in. If you serve multiple counties, then it's wherever the school, your district office is setting, or where the majority of those schools sit in terms of what model we will be in. So for us, it will be based on Scott County's 2-week count. Here you can see a copy of what the numbers look like and what model we will be in, as well as the previous 5 weeks, what that number looks like. It has continued to trend up, but it has not trended up near the 30, where when we get to 30, you would see we would have to go to a distance learning environment at the secondary level or the high school, middle school, high school level. But right now we are in the middle of the 20s, which would mean we'd be hybrid elementary and hybrid at the secondary. I want to remind people though, at elementary, based on how much square footage we have and how many open rooms and spaces we have, we'll be able to space kids out. So we still will be able to bring all of our kids in 5 days a week, and then they will be in a different schedule with different staff members. So here's what hybrid will look like. We actually have 123 students at elementary who have selected full-time distance learning. That was a part of the survey that we did. We talked about that in the last video that we released. Again, highlighting all of our elementary kids will attend school 5 days a week. They're spread out over additional staff who have elementary teaching licenses. And we have additional spaces in the building to ensure that we're meeting the 6-foot social distancing requirements. Like I said, we'll have less opportunities available to students in terms of their specials, but we're hoping to find a way to integrate those into the classroom. And an important thing to highlight here, the distance learners will be learning synchronously in person with the students. What the average class size is, just so people know, I know there were some questions out on social media. At kindergarten right now in a hybrid model, using those additional staff, spreading kids out, our average class size will be 17.83. Our average class size at first grade right now will be 16.2, and our average class size at second grade will be 16.4. And we have 40, this is at Chatfield, and we have 46 students who have elected to be full-time distance learners at Chatfield. At third grade, our average class size will be 19.2. At fourth grade, it'll be 19.8. Fifth grade, it'll be 18.6. At sixth grade right now, it'll be 20, but we are looking at some options where we could go to a really large space and maybe have 24 or 25 students in one class, but be able to socially distance them because we wouldn't be in a typical classroom setting. We'd be in one of the overflow spaces, and then we could bring the classroom setting class sizes down. But we're still working through some of those. We have 77 students who will be in hybrid at Oakcrest Elementary full-time this year. Then the secondary, which gets a little bit more complicated. First of all, I want to highlight we have been able to put students into A groups and into B groups, and then on C day, which will be Friday, so A group would come to school on Monday and Tuesday. During that time, the B group would be synchronously logged onto their devices at home in their actual class via the technology, and then on Wednesday and Thursday, they would flip. The B group students would be in class at school, and the A group students would be online synchronously at home during class, working with the teacher and interacting through the technology. Now, C Day, which will be Friday, and the reason we selected Fridays is throughout the calendar in the school year, that was where we had the most days off. So we wanted to maximize the number of days that students were face-to-face. On those days, there'll be some asynchronous instruction where kids will have activities, assignments, videos, things that they need to work on, more similar to what they would have done in the spring last year, or what they would do at an e-learning day if we had a snow day. There also is potential where we'll bring students in who have fallen behind, who need intervention, who need to make up tests. We're also looking at some things we can do for our special education students to have them in on those C days as well. So for specific or particular students, that C day might look differently. Our teachers will be here at school working and interacting. It'll just be interacting with different populations of kids. This is just a sample calendar. We haven't settled on this yet, but this is what the A day, B day potentially would look like. We will be sharing this out with the public, and then as we get closer, when we look at our third revision, which would be on September 1st, we'll have a specific calendar of what the A and B days look like, 7/12. We talked a little bit synchronous learning. It means that students are logged into their device through Moodle. They're directly connected to their classroom teacher. The classroom teacher will be teaching from the classroom with the students who are in class. The students who are at home will be synchronously learning, being a part of the class remotely through technology. We will be taking attendance. In order for students to be marked present, they have to be logged in synchronously to their classroom or have made arrangements with their teacher. The one thing that I'd like to highlight too, that have been some questions, we do have students scheduled. Elementary kids will be coming in 5 days a week, but at the secondary level, if there's a family that has 2 secondary students, those students will be assigned to, if they're in A group, they'll all be in A group. If they're in a B group, they'll all be in the B group. So we have been able to build that schedule. and keep families together by last name. Again, this information will be released here on the 18th. There's a lot of information in there, but it goes through all of the key components as we look at reopening here in the fall of 2020, 2021. There'll be additional information. There's a third revision we will release on September 1st that will be a final draft for how the start of the school year will look. We will be communicating with families throughout the year. As I said earlier, we're following the state guidelines, so every Friday we're going to be looking at the numbers. The numbers don't fluctuate that much, that we'll be bouncing between a couple of different learning models. But if we end up trending in a direction for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks down that moves us back closer to a face-to-face type environment, we will be communicating with families. I think one important thing to note is we do have a face-to-face schedule for all kids, and we have a hybrid schedule for all kids. So if the number trends down, which is what we all hope, and we're able to come back in a face-to-face environment, we are prepared and ready for that. But as I said, if we were to start school tomorrow, based on the current numbers in Scott County, we would be starting in a hybrid model. Elementary kids coming 5 days a week, 7-12 kids would be coming on an A-B schedule that they will be receiving here within the coming weeks. If you have any questions, feel free to email myself or the building administrators, and we will do our best to answer what those are. Thank you so much.